Your Excellency, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mr. Faki Musa Mohammed, Your Excellencies, members of the Executive Council, commissioners and officials from the African Union Commission, attending guests, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to begin by wishing all participants and honorable members and excellencies a very happy and prosperous new year, and one which will bring great success for our continent Africa and great success in the work of our great organization, the African Union. It is my privilege to once more call to order our meeting, the 38th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council of the African Union. I'd like to begin by thanking all of you for attending this virtual meeting of the Executive Council. I hope you shall properly enjoy muting and unmuting yourselves as we proceed with our virtual experience. I also thank the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mr. Musa Faki Mohammed, and his team for the support provided to our country, South Africa, during this year of service as Chair of the African Union. The meetings of the Executive Council of our Union are important meetings, as it is through them that the purpose and character of this organization is concretized. As we proceed to discuss the various agenda items today, I am sure we will all have due regard to the critical importance of our deliberations. Excellencies, as you're all fully aware, we are meeting in the context of our global battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has had severe effects on our countries, and yet in a strange way, it has also united us in a manner reminiscent of the solidarity that the Organization of African Union led against South Africa's apartheid regime. While we are not yet at a level that allows a full focus on post-COVID recovery, I believe it will be logical to use our precious unity to devise solutions that will allow Africa to grow together. This crisis has created an unprecedented opportunity to devise innovative responses to new challenges and problems. The Executive Council may need at a later stage, not today, to initiate an AU-led reflection on what next and how should we continue to effectively coordinate. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic on the continent in March 2020, African countries have made huge strides in containing the spread of the virus. I might say we have confounded the world in the manner of our response. The achievements recorded so far can be attributed to the proactive initiatives undertaken by all our leaders and our countries as a collective of Africa under the decisive leadership of the African Union Bureau, with the support of the chairs of the regional economic communities, the African Centers for Disease Control, and the chair of the African Union, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa. The most important public health measure to prevent COVID-19 is a vaccine. For the past year, efforts have been underway to find vaccines that are both safe, affordable, and effective. we finally have achieved the goal, with a number of vaccines having undergone clinical trials and having passed stringent safety tests. The production of the vaccines has begun in earnest. However, as all distinguished members of the Council know, vaccines are costly. All our countries must get vaccines, and we must get them speedily. It is vital for the global containment of COVID-19 that vaccinations take place in all countries and among all our populations. We're all aware of the challenges of accessing vaccines for the global south, particularly our own continent, Africa. The developed north, which has substantial financial resources, has purchased the largest stocks, while we in Africa are still struggling to get our fair share. The painful irony is that some of the clinical trials for these vaccines were indeed carried out in our continent. In other cases, some vaccines are packaged right here on the continent, and yet we as Africa struggle to access them for our populations. This, we believe, is one of the strategic opportunities we should address through advice and leadership of our AU subsidiary bodies. Our Agenda 2063 envisions a bold, confident, capable, efficient African Union able to address tasks presented by an emergency of this enormity. In an attempt to act, India and South Africa, working together, have proposed a TRIPS waiver in response to the pandemic. We have called on the World Trade Organization to temporarily waive specific TRIPS obligations in relation to the prevention and treatment of COVID-19 for, we have said, a defined period and within defined parameters. We thank many of the African member states of the WTO for their decision to support this important initiative. If agreed to, this would enable countries on the continent and elsewhere to access active pharmaceutical ingredients and to benefit from technology transfer, including the know-how to manufacture vaccines in Africa at a cheaper cost. Distinguished colleagues, beyond the pandemic, we also have to ensure our African Union executes our agreed reform agenda effectively. We have adopted many decisions since launching the African Union, yet we have not yet built fully functional machinery with quality execution, appropriate financial administration and management, and a key focus on development outcomes. We have made progress yet in 2021. The implementation phase of the African Continental Free Trade Area is underway, and that is history. We call on our AU member states to finalize all the outstanding issues on the African Continental Free Trade Area by June 2021, as agreed during the Extraordinary Summit of the African Union of December 2020. The vision of Agenda 2063 is realizable if all of us act with energy and determination. Dear Excellencies, as we, South Africa, exit this chairship, we cannot ignore the important issue of the budget situation of the organization and its implications for the implementation of the priorities of the African Union. It is imperative that we become self-sufficient. Even more critical in the maintenance of peace and security on the continent is the active realization of the Peace Fund. We continue to call on our fellow member states to contribute to the fund to enable the continent to play a leading role in entrenching peace and security in Africa. We've entered a new year, a new focus, and we enter a new leadership. Our theme for this year, that of arts, culture and heritage, levers for building a prosperous, peaceful, integrated and resilient Africa in the context of multi-sectoral challenges, is an exciting one. The theme highlights the contribution of arts, culture and heritage as catalysts for our socio-economic development and creates an opportunity for us to showcase these attributes of Africa. I'm looking forward to our discussions and our decisions today as the Executive Council, as I believe the work we will do will advance the goals and objectives of our great organization, the African Union. I thank you for the privilege of listening to my opening remarks